Hello ladies and gentlemen, Grim here and welcome to another tier list. Today we're going to take a look at all the artifacts in Just 2 Mobile, and boy oh boy, there are many of them. Like, some of them are off screen, but they'll come on screen as we put some on the tier list. So yeah, this is going to be my opinion on this, and this is meant to help people out in terms of what artifacts they should be focusing on. If you got a different opinion, that's totally fine. You can let me know down in the comments, and furthermore, yet again, I'll be making the link of this tier list public, so you can make your own tier list. There will be a link in the description. We'll have this template done with everything pretty much done by me, and you just have to click and drag everything over here. And if you do so, make sure you join my Discord server and share it with us, and let us know what you think about that. We're going to have them ordered like, first of all, the Azure artifacts, then the Apocalypse artifacts, then the Rise Krypton artifacts, and then the Chaos artifacts. And the last tier list, some of you might think I don't read the comments, but I do. A lot of you are saying, can you put some descriptions of every single artifact? Well, there's a lot of them, so I'm not gonna do that, but we got this thing opened here. This is on the official Just 2 Mobile website, and we're going to have all the artifacts pretty much here. They're going to be in this lame format, and then when we get to newer ones, they're going to be in this more smooth format. And this is to both let you guys know what specifically I'm talking about, and to kind of refresh my own memory so I don't get anything wrong. So we'll start just with them as they are over here listed. Again, I separated them into Azure and pretty much everything. We'll take it piece by piece. So first of all, we'll get this armor here. So it's going to be the anti-H metal armor, and it's going to give you 75% health. It's going to give you a percentage of attack for the missing health, and the damage dealt to your character is going to be split amongst the entire team if the character this equipped on is going to be a legendary. Pretty much somewhat similar to the passive of the new Superman that we got functions. Again, I might switch things around as we go with the tier list, and maybe I feel like a lot of other artifacts that they put in some tier don't fit with the one artifact. I might give it an up, but for now a C. Like, on paper this looks good, but this amount of health is like the second worst amount of health you get out of an artifact like this in terms of pure health. The additional damage for each percentage of health missing, first of all, is not gonna be high enough to be usable in raids and soul raids, and second of all, losing health to gain damage is kind of only it's not really worth it in this scenario. Like with all blades, don't get me wrong, with all blades the cause is getting damage and the result is losing some health. Over here the cause is losing health and the result is getting damage. It just doesn't go well. So for now, C tier. And again, I will not value that much tank artifacts, because in Just 2 Mobile, we're looking for damage-dealing artifacts, because we don't have any game modes that are very, very demanding of very, very strong tanks. So for now, a C. We might bump it up to B, depending on how it goes, but for now, C. Now, we're going to take a look at, where is it? The Amulet of Agility. Plus 100% dot damage, and additional damage against metahuman heroes if it's equipped on Agility. Again, on paper, this sounds amazing! Double the dot damage, boy, oh boy, let's have Joker's gonna slap some ass with this on, am I right? No, wrong. The thing is, the dot damage on every single character that deals dot damage, there might be some exceptions, but for the most part, for all the important ones and for all the characters where this matters, the dot damage is going to scale with your attack. So if you need higher dot damage, get more attack. And in terms of that, every single other option that you have to put on a character to give him more dot damage is going to do better than this. So, and again, it's a very, very specific thing it does, and the things that do give you attack in general are going to be better at the specific thing that this artifact does. We're going to put this in shatter as soon as possible. Look, there might be some new players watching. If you get some artifacts, don't shatter any artifacts until you got 3 of them, so you can equip one on a character. So if you got this thing at, let's say, at level 8, but you don't have anything better, you can use this on your less of Joker, it will do fine for you. But once you get all blades, this, even if it's level 10, it's going to be shattered, because it's not doing crap for you. Now, the region matrix. Where is it? There we go. So this will revive one character once it dies with 75% health, and at the same time it will give 100% attack to Superman when revived. First of all, the Superman part is negligible except for Arena and Champions Arena, that might help you out a bit. But putting this on Superman to revive him with more attack is not really worth doing. You'd rather have our artifacts for damage dealing capacities. But the fact that this thing is able to revive your character is going to be amazing. You're going to be able to make any character in the game able to survive the super move. You can just drop this on support, tag him in to tank the super move, and this makes sure that your support doesn't die, because if your support dies, then your damage dealer might get tagged in straight after, and your damage dealer might have 1 health, and that 1 health is going to go down with 1 basic attack from the enemy, 1 tap attack, however you want to call it. And furthermore, this is usable against the final boss in Rise of Krypton, that's Superman, because he applies debuffs to the enemy when they try to apply themselves buffs, that rendering the Batman Ninja team useless and the Black Manta team useless. But if we equip this on, if you let them die once and then they revive, they will no longer be afflicted by that debuff, so that's a pretty good artifact overall. I would say 8 here. There's an argument to be made. 8 here. Let's just go with 8 here. This is all around an artifact that will always be useful for you. It's not a priority to max out, but you'll eventually max it out. Next up, we have the Amulet of Arcane. Where is it? There we go. It's going to give you 55% more special attack damage, and also will give you more attack against arcane heroes. The attack against arcane heroes, I would say I don't really care about it, but it's gonna be useful when you're fighting Dr. Fate in league raids, and it's going to give you some additional special damage. Shatter. Again, if you don't have other artifacts, this is gonna do well enough for you, but there are 2 problems with this artifact. How the additional damage on specials is calculated in Injustice Mobile, it's kinda shit. Because they will take the base damage that your special will do without taking into account other buffs that are in the game. So overall, using one of this as level 10 is going to be worse than using an All Blades at level 4. Like really, pretty much every single other option for dealing damage out of the ones that are constantly used and not shattered is going to be better than this. I can give it D tier, because if you get this at high level from a soul ray drop as a new player, you might use it for a while, but still, once you get this bad boy over here that we're going to talk about later, and that drops from league rates, we're not gonna need this. But let's be nice and give it D tier for now, okay? No, I'm kidding. Shatter it. Next one is gonna be Claws of Horus. Oh boy, Claws of Horus. This is an artifact dear to my heart. It doesn't do that much, but it does enough to some extent. So this is going to give you additional attack, and at the same time, it's going to give you a chance to stun the opponent. So the attack that it gives you is not great. There's stuff that is going to give you far more attack than this, but this will not require your character tagging in and out constantly of the fight, in and out of the fight. So that's great. So this is a good replacement for All Blades and an accessible replacement. The thing is, right now with the newer artifacts, in some scenarios where you would have used in the past Claws of Horus, you would use some sort of Salvation, you would use on some characters Beta Glove, you can use even the Kryptonite Gloves, you can use substitutions, even this thing to replace it. But at the same time, this is going to be a decent replacement for every single artifact mentioned previously in case you don't have them. It's gonna be useful against Scarecrow in league raids, it's gonna be useful against phase 2, and the chance to stun can actually be useful when you're fighting enemies with shields in soul raids, and that's a good way to bypass it. So yeah, previously I would have even gotten all the way to putting this in A tier, and maybe, yeah, let's leave it at A tier now. Now that you got a lot of other options, I don't really feel like it deserves A tier anymore, but at the same time, this is accessible to a lot of people, and most of you don't have the Beta Club or other alternatives, so let's leave it at A tier. Out of the League Raids artifacts, this is the only thing that you would want to upgrade. So if you drop some League Raids artifacts, you don't want to upgrade them unless you get All Blades, because you want to save up all your resources to upgrade All Blades to as high level as possible once you get it. But Claws of Horus is the exception, because while other artifacts you drop like the Amulet of Might or the Amulet of Arcane are going to be decent replacements until you get All Blades, and they are going to be useless after you get All Blades, Claws of Horus is still going to be useful, so you can use this on your damage dealer on any fight until you get Claws of Horus in League Raids, and in Soul Raids to an extent until you get yourself the normal difficulty artifact for completion. Yeah, let's just leave this at A tier. Now the All Blades is going to give you 150% more attack. Keep in mind this is base attack. It's going to give it for 30 seconds. And it's going to give power reduction for its good super move and 50% chance to hit lethals. So first of all, the power reduction for Red Hood is actually pretty damn good because you can use him in the multiverse team, but we're here for the first passive. The first passive is amazing because this stacks you can have, if you play it properly, 4 All Blade stacks active at all times. That means that you're going to get 600% more attack, but chill a bit because it's not going to be total attack, it's still going to be base attacks. So let's say on an average character, you'd get with 4 All Blade stacks around 12, 11,000 more attack or 10,000 more attack. I mean, I'm bad with maths, but the average character has around 2,300 base attack, so that's gonna be calculated out of it. So yeah, this is an amazing artifact. This is going to be, for most people watching this video, their main damage dealing artifact. It's gonna be useful to an extent also in Dawn of Apocalypse. It's still the most popular artifact for the most part in League raids. And in Rise of Krypton and Advent of Chaos, unless you got like 3 artifacts at high level, because they split the bonuses throughout the entire team, you're going to be using All Blades. Like, even if you got, let's say, level 5 Chakra and a level 5 Staff of Trigon, you're going to put those on the support characters and still put All Blades on the main damage dealer because you're going to get a better outcome. There's no way to go wrong with All Blades. Since release, it has been SS tier, it's still SS tier, and I don't think things are gonna change anytime soon. Now, we got this thing over here, which is called the Cosmic Staff. Whenever losing greater than 10% of max health in a single attack, gain a shield that blocks 77% of all incoming damage for 10 seconds, and the shield that is active will reflect on damage. This is all garbage, this is crap. Like, this artifact was actually called decent when they released because it was the first time we had some artifacts, and this was one of the better artifacts in terms of defensive artifacts compared to what we got. But since then we got so many far better defensive artifacts, and the biggest problem with this thing, it fails at its job. This thing is supposed to protect your character from taking damage. That's the main purpose of the artifact. But this thing is going to protect your character after it takes damage. So pretty much the only way you can make any use of this artifact is making 2 mistakes in a row. So yeah, Shatter, as soon as possible. Now we got the Metahuman artifact. Where's that thing? Yeah, this is an artifact that's actually pretty dear to my heart. This is, to this day, the only support artifact in the game. What do I mean by that? The only artifact in the game that is going to give you a passive bonus while being equipped on a character that you'll never tag in. Of course, I'm not regarding the passive attack you get from the Soul artifacts from Dawn of Apocalypse and Chaos. I'm talking about the fact that you'll get the active effect of this artifact without being placed on your main characters. So again, we're going to disregard the bonus against tech heroes because you're not putting this on a damage there, but we're going to get increased healing by 100%. And that's not much. Most characters, except for Shazam that heal, are going to have their healing scaling with their max attack. But then there's a 50% chance for that healing to apply to your teammates. Just drop it on a support character on that team, forget it there, and it's gonna help you a ton. This will increase the healing from the Firebox, so you can put it on the 2 characters that you allow to die in phase 2 if you're going to use Firebox on your main damage dealer. You can put it on the support character in every fight in Dawn of Apocalypse. This will boost every single healing of your teammates. This will boost King's revive heal. This will be very useful to you. It can be even put on let's say Brainiac or Just League Flash or whatever you're using as support character for the Joker League of Anarchy, so EPI heals more. It's all around, it's the best passively supporting artifact in the game because it's the only one that does that. So yeah, some people would put it at B tier, but look, at the same time, the thing with this artifact is that it's not a priority. It's going to be very useful to you, but it's not a priority in terms of upgrading. So that's why I'm giving it only B tier. Like, when you have everything at level 10, this is gonna be, let's say, A tier, but until then, you should prioritize something else. So while I think it's deserves this place, I'm gonna put it in B because you're going to get far more from upgrading your region metrics and Claws of Horus, and I don't want to mislead people into upgrading it over those two. But in theory, I think it deserves A tier. Let's just drop it at B tier for safety reasons. Now we got ourselves the best tank artifact in Injustice Mobile. I'm kidding, by the way, where is it? The tech artifact, this is going to give you 55% more health and additional damage against might opponents. We're not going to regard the damage outputs because you're not going to use this on damage dealer. So it's only going to give you 55% health. That's literally the lowest amount of percentage health you're going to receive out of any artifact, and that's the only thing that's gonna give you. Shatter as soon as possible. There's no character and no situation game where you would use this, except if it's one of your first 3 artifacts. If you only got 3 artifacts, you can keep them. Put this on a combo builder to survive that a little bit more, but other than that, it's not gonna go places. Now we got the Amulet of Mites, and this will give you more damage on basic attacks, which is not a terrible thing to get. It's okay, and at the same time it gives you additional damage against agility heroes. And here it matters a little bit because previously this was used on King of Lands Aquaman against phase 2 if you're going solo with him. So that was an option. But the thing is, now we got Sword of Salvation, which does better. We got the Beta Club, which does better, and we got Firebox, which will yield a little bit of a less of a damage output considering perfect gameplay, but at the same time the Firebox will allow you to survive far easier the entire fight, and overall, let's say the average player in 10 fights, most likely his highest damage will be with Amulet of Mites, but if he does 10 fights with Amulet of Might and Firebox, the overall damage will be most likely higher with Firebox because he would die far less. So still, we could put it here, I guess, because it can be used. I'd honestly put it here, but let's give it a little bit of credit. Okay, we're done with the Azure artifacts. Those are artifacts that anybody can drop from League raids. They also drop from Soul raids. As you can see, we have one, thankfully, in SS tier that everybody can have access to. We have 2 very useful ones, and the third very useful one. And yeah, the rest of them. Now let's move on to Dawn of Apocalypse artifacts, and the first one is going to be the Radiant. If an opponent is protected by a shield or barrier, your ranged attack has a 100% to be unblockable and destroy it. That's not very useful. Ranged attacks are kind of shit in Just Mobile, and at the same time, the special free of Influence Aquaman, I think, is regarded as a ranged attack. Don't quote me on this one. But I don't really care about that thing. So far, trust me, nobody was able to really take good advantage of the first or the second passive that rely on ranged attacks, because ranged attacks are very poorly implemented in Just Mobile. It's pretty much a mechanic that nobody uses. So there has been no instance of this being useful because of the first 2 passives. But we got the third passive, which is going to reduce the defense of the enemy for 5 seconds when you do a swipe. So if the enemy's got a ton of defense, you would put this on the combo builder and then tag in your damage dealer to deal that damage, because usually when you tag in your damage dealer, you're going to end your combo with the combo builder in a swipe, and then when you tag in your damage dealer, you're going to have 5 seconds where the enemy has pretty much 0 defense, and that's pretty useful. Also, talking in terms of the passive bonuses for the Soul Rate of Dawn of Apocalypse, is going to be average ones. Overall, pretty useful artifact. Not an artifact that I would upgrade, because as we know, the Soul Rate artifact resources are kind of rare to find, but an artifact that definitely does have its uses. If this was more accessible, this would easily be A tier, but the thing is, to get the full value out of it, it needs to be high level, and a lot of people don't have it, so B tier. Now we got the Electro Axe. This will steal your opponent's combo, which is 100% useless. The opponent doesn't usually build high combo because the AI is dumb. It's gonna deal more damage against minions and summons. Again, not particularly useful. Like, it's gonna help you out with that, but the thing is, considering it's got lower stats than other stuff, a level 10 Firebox would allow you to kill almost as fast summons as a level 10 Electro Axe would because of the attack and stuff. To keep in mind, in Dawn of Apocalypse, the passive attack and health don't split. You're going to get health and energy when killing an opponent. Actually, just health. Also power bars, excuse me, that was the other effect. Also power bars. You're going to gain health and power bars. And I actually don't like this in Arena and Champions Arena. Like, for example, when it's on Arkham Knight Batman, where he's a passive and he doesn't occupy an artifact slot, That stuff is amazing, but over here you have to occupy an artifact slot for it, and rather than have this thing here, you'd rather have something that boosts your damaging capacities. Because what this does is give you some power bars and health, but what an artifact that makes you deal more damage would do is allow you to kill the enemy faster, so that you would lose less health and waste more power bars. So that passive is counterproductive. But this has the very niche use of being used on combo builders when fighting phase 1 or Gorilla Grodd, or even on the support character. So let's say you're going to fight phase 1 and you have just like Flash there as the support character, just being there for the best tech hits that it provides. You're just going to put an Electro Axe on him and kill the first summons of Brainiac to get all the way to super move when tagging in Last Life Joker. So that's the only use of this artifact. Other than that, it doesn't do much, so a little bit of an underwhelming artifact. I'm gonna give it C tier. I mean, it's far better than anything that's below it. Now we got ourselves the Heart of Darkness. This is going to give you power generation when hit by a critical attack. 100% health, that's already higher than any we've seen so far on the tier list. There will be higher ones, and will allow you to steal 100% of your healing effects. It also has the highest attack and health bonuses for Dawn of Apocalypse, and look, this is not something you should invest in. You should invest in the Firebox in terms of the Dawn of Apocalypse artifacts, but if you get it from an offer at high level, it's gonna do well for you. The stealing of healing effects will only be useful in Arena and Champions Arena, and it doesn't make that huge of a difference. It makes a difference when you fight it because it's very annoying, but I'm not giving it too much credit for that. The health boost is nice, and yeah, it doesn't do that much except for that. But the thing is, it's pretty solid at what it does. It has high bonuses. I feel like B tier. Like, mostly because it has very high bonuses and it has that health boost. It's not a huge deal. The health boost and the power generation are not huge deals because you generate power as you tag in and out anyway, and health is not really necessary. But at the same time, it's stuff that's always gonna be helpful for you. It's got big chunky values on everything, and it's got big passive bonuses for Dawn of Apocalypse. Let's give it B tier. I'm feeling pretty comfortable with it being in B tier. Now we got the Rod, the Mega Rod. Wait, do we have the... Yeah, we do have the Firebox in there. I thought I forgot to introduce the Firebox, but yeah. Special attacks after 5 seconds after successfully blocking an enemy special are going to deal increased damage. That's 1000% useless, because this has the lowest passive bonuses you'd get from a Dawn of Apocalypse artifact. So you can't put this on a damage dealer because that passive over there ain't gonna mean nothing compared to the attack difference with the high-end passive bonuses artifact. So that first passive is totally useless. But the second passive is going to give you a 100% chance to ignore power steal and power drain. And if that would be to be inflicted on you and it's going to get ignored by the enemy, then you're going to instead power steal from him. So you're pretty much going to use a Uno reverse card on your opponent, but it's going to be even stronger than he is going to do to you. So yeah, still, this is going to be a pretty situational thing, but this opens some pretty niche themes for phase 3, some Dawn of Apocalypse fights. Not that usable in Rise Krypton and Dawn and Advent of Chaos because it doesn't. The passive bonuses split, and you'd like more to have more passive bonuses. Again, this is not a necessary artifact. There's no fight in the game where you have to have this artifact or you'll perform far worse. Even the opposite of that, the teams that perform best in those fights are not going to make use of this artifact, but it has a niche use, which is going to be decent and fun from time to time, so let's get to it to see here. Well, that's a decent spot. The Father Box. Okay, so this thing is going to, when below 30% health, gain a huge percent of your health back, up to 3 times per battle, and also trigger 2 times a cleanse of all debuffs. That means stun, dot, everything. Okay? You're gonna be a clean boy. It will be like nothing happened to you. Of course, if you don't get one shots. If that happens, it's not gonna revive your corpse and cleanse it. But yeah, that's a very, very good passive. Amazing for Arena and Champions Arena, and pretty useful in Raids and Stories when you use this. That prevents your character from dying. Now, the second passive is going to allow you to teleport towards your opponent with a swipe right. Teleport. That's the weird sparkle that you see sometimes in some fights. That's the Firebox teleporting you towards the enemy. This will allow you to easily get close when the enemy is gonna be funky and swipe back, do some ranged attacks. And while you're teleporting, you can use this to avoid a lot of stuff. The bonus attack on the rush attack is amazing in Dawn of Apocalypse. This allows a lot of characters to do infinite combos. This is an amazing artifact and it has the highest bonuses for Dawn of Apocalypse and everybody has it. It's going to be the free one and it's the best one. SS tier, let's go. Now the Entropy. The Entropy. So, first of all, it doesn't allow you to take more damage than 8.7% of your health. It's gonna work against Darkseid super move, which if you are not familiar, it's the boss of Dawn of Apocalypse and would one-shot you with a super move. It's gonna reduce the hazard dot damage that's incoming, pretty much denying it. You're pretty much going to receive 0 damage from hazard dots. The purple stuff that's on the ground and damages you if you're not aware of what I'm talking about. And then it's going to remove the hazard secondary effects. So it means you are not going to get power drained by hazards and you're not gonna get stunned by Arkham Knight Batman or any Batman stun bombs. This is a very good artifact. It's yet again, it's sort of an upgraded regen matrix in terms of the regen matrix revives you. This one doesn't let you die, but the regen matrix has those niche uses against the boss Superman. It's gonna be very useful against boss Darkseid. It's not mandatory, but you're going to have a hell of a easier time with a lot of teams if you do have this. It's going to be a very solid tank artifact. S tier. It's not at the level of those two, but it's still a very, very solid artifact. So those are the Dawn of Apocalypse artifacts. As you can see, overall, yeah, they're kind of towards the same power level. I mean, I also kept more in mind the fact that those are far harder to upgrade compared to the Azure artifacts. So yeah. Now let's move on to the Rise of Krypton ones. The ring. It's a Kryptonite ring. It's gonna give you a little bit more power generation. That amount is negligible, first of all, and second of all, you don't really need that at all, the power generation. At the same time, it has a 100% chance to disable the opponent's super move and special tree when you use a special. So that's going to be particularly useful against Rise of Krypton boss Brainiac, and that's going to be the base artifact to use against boss Brainiac. Though sadly it's going to have the lowest passive stats out of all the artifacts, and you can beat boss Brainiac without it. And it can even be used in phase 4 normal raids, but look, this is a very niche use artifact. This is an artifact that's not made to be all around useful. This is an artifact that will make it easier for you, particularly in only one fight where they made it harder so that this artifact is more useful. It also can do pretty well on Silver Banshee in Rise of Krypton, considering you got maxed out artifacts, except for this, and everything is maxed out. You drop this on Silver Banshee, it's gonna do decent. Though in most scenarios, still the Kryptonite Speeder is gonna do better on her. So yeah, I honestly hate this artifact. It possibly deserves this. Possibly deserves C tier, but the fact that they made a fight that's hard for you if you don't have this artifact to a point where it's unfair, dropping it to D. And yeah, you could make the argument about Entropy doing the same against boss Darkseid, but there are ways around it against Darkseid if you have the proper gameplay. This seems far more restrictive. I just don't like it, sorry. If you want to give it C tier, you can go ahead, but I'm gonna drop it at D tier. Now the LexCorp Warsuit. Boy, oh boy, do I like this artifact. Okay, so this will give you 100% chance to have armor. Oh, and also a thing that I hate about this little shit over here is that in order to take advantage of this and for this to be a reliable thing, for you to be able to constantly block the opponent's super move so you don't die or something like that, it needs to be maxed. Because if it's not maxed, you're not gonna have a 100% chance. And if you don't have a 100% chance, fail it once and you're dead. And it requires to be level 10 for it to be even usable. So if you want to put it here, I don't agree with you. It deserves this or even this for that alone. I mean, we're talking about it at level 10, but 99% of players will not have it at level 10. If it's not at level 10, you might as well put it here. Yeah, this artifact pisses me off so much, actually. But yeah, 100% chance to have armor pierce on specials. Successful specials activate an armor, increasing your defense by 50% and giving you tenacity, which means you can't get debuffed. and it's going to boost your damage for every 1% defense on your opponent, and will give you a lot of health. Highest amount of health we've seen so far. And it's going to also have the maxed passive bonuses for that soul rate. So this is kind of not necessarily a must-have, but an artifact that will give you a far easier time against Rise of Krypton boss Superman, because it's not gonna allow him to remove you the buffs that you have on Batman, Catwoman, and Black Manta. So it's very useful because of that. It's gonna give you a lot of health. The armor piercing specials is also particularly useful. But the thing is, this one is kind of useless. I love this artifact. I tried to use it in a lot of other fights, but it's 100% useless in raids and soul rates outside of Rise of Krypton. And in Rise of Krypton specifically, it's only good to be on your main damage dealers on some fights, and on our fights it's replaced by Beta Club or Kryptonite Speeder. But it's always going to be there because it has the highest passive stats, and it's gonna buff your team by a whole lot. So look, previously I would have put this here, but honestly, when Rise of Krypton is not up, the only place I'm using this is Arena and Champions Arena. And don't get me wrong, I'm having lots of fun with it. It's an amazing artifact for that. But it's useless other than that, except for Rise of Krypton. I'm gonna drop it here. Again, very good artifact. You can make the argument of it being here, but I'm gonna drop it here. Now we got the Modelo's Power Source. 100% chance to resist stuns and dots and gain 3 power bars when resisting them. When blocking a special, 100% of the damage is accumulated and can be dealt back to the opponent with the next special. Resets on tag out. Second passive is 100% useless. You wouldn't be putting this on your damage dealer. You'd have this on your combo builder, and then you tag in your damage dealer with a better damage dealing artifact. So the second thing is useless. If it would have applied to the entire team, then that's great. But it doesn't, so it's shit. And the first one, resisting suns and dots, it's simply a worse version of the thing that we had here. So yeah, and it has mid-range passive stats, so yeah, it's gonna go over here. Again, I think the Mega Rod is a little bit better, but this splits stats through the entire team, so if you get it, it's gonna be slightly more useful for you in the Rise of Krypton. So yeah, I guess this is a decent spot for it. Now, Kryptonite Knife is gonna give you some attack on base, some crit chance and crit damage on basics. That's all. It has the lowest passive stats. This is a filler artifact. They didn't have any ideas. They wanted to be like, let's put 10 artifacts because they need to have a chance as low as possible to get the good ones. Let's just drop some shit in there that gives them crit chance and crit damage. Oh, that's too OP for trash artifact. Make that only on basics. Look, if you're a new player and you get this, this might be slightly useful in some scenarios. Once you build your characters, this shit's gonna be useless as fuck, boy. Oh boy, this is another artifact that pisses me off. Not because it's that terrible, but because if you got build characters, it's not gonna do anything for you. This is literally going to be only useful in the first 3 weeks of playing the game if you get it. And it only applies on basic, like if it applied on abilities too, would have been still absolute trash, but I would have put it here. But only on basics, bruh. Also, I don't know why it's a smaller icon for this, but yeah, I guess it doesn't deserve a big icon. Now the gloves. Kryptonite gloves, they're going to make you block more damage, which is... Nobody cares about that, my dude, honestly. Nobody cares about blocking more damage. You're gonna be able to block enough damage already. It's going to give you a little bit more on basic attacks, tags, and swipes. And when you get percentage damage, it's always good because the percentage damage is going to be calculated out of your total damage as opposed to attack, which is going to be calculated only out of your base attack. So that's pretty good. That's pretty solid. So this artifact we haven't seen a lot because we got Beta Club, which pretty much is used by any character that uses basic attacks instead of this, and it has a better yield. But I actually think this is a pretty decent artifact. I wouldn't go out of my way to upgrade this, but this gives you some decent stuff. Gonna be heavily boosting your damage on basic attacks. Not, let's put it here, because look, it's not gonna be the base one in any place. And you might be like, yes, but nobody has Beta Club. Also, nobody will have this thing, because this thing is arguably almost as hard to get as Beta Club. If Beta Club didn't exist, this would most likely be here, or here. But yeah, let's drop it here. Let's just put it here. I'm feeling generous today, and this I just I wanna highlight this artifact a bit because nobody's talking about it. It's a pretty good artifact, but we got all blades. Now talking about the shit artifact. 100% damage boost on basic attacks for each buff on the enemy. First of all, I was like, oh, it applies for debuffs then also maybe, because maybe that's what they were thinking. No, doesn't work for debuffs, only buffs. Only buffs that the enemy would inflict on themselves. Like Batman Jack Catwoman using the special free, and the enemy having all blades. And guess what? That is 1000% useless in raids and soul raids. It doesn't even activate for super move. If the enemy does super move, this doesn't regard that as a buff. If the enemy, like let's say Brainiac in normal raids or some other characters that switch their classes, the class change is not gonna be seen as a buff. This is 100% useless in raids and soul raids. I hate it. I hate this terrible, and it's going to be occasionally, sometimes, if you get very lucky, somewhat useful in Arena and Champions Arena. This is total trash. Bro, we got so many fillers in terms of the Rise of Krypton artifacts. Astro Harness, boy oh boy. Do people still get banned for using this? I mean, look, this is going to be useless for you in Raids and Soul Raids. You're not gonna get any use out of this in Raids and Soul Raids. But in Arena and Champions Arena, if you're lazy as me, this is going to be a very helpful artifact, because this will pretty much yeet a beam of lightning when you tag in your character. That might kill your opponent if you got this at high level enough and if your character has a high enough attack. And at the same time, if you kill the first character, that beam is going to deal increased damage when the next character gets tagged in. So you might clean up Champions Arena fights, like filler Champions Arena fights, with bad teams that you have to get through every single day, and you're like, oh, I don't want to fight this will be over quick, it's gonna be more of a headache. You tag in your last time Joker, the fight is over in 2 seconds, it might even bug, you might even get banned, that's how fast the fight finishes. So yeah, I'm gonna drop it here, actually, because look, this is going to be, let's drop it here, this is going to be a very good quality of life artifact. It's gonna be totally useless in raids and soul raids, but I'm still not certain if they fix the bug where you might get your account banned for unusual gameplay if you use this. So use with care, guys. Please do use it with care. Beta Club. Yeah, so we talked about this a lot of times. This pretty much boosts the damage through the roof for Batman Ninja team, for Black Manta team, for King team, and for any team that has Raven in it. Attacks like crazy with little tag damage. And nowadays, it's kind of competing with the All Blades in terms of the best damage dealing artifact in regrades. So look, it got nerfed, or it's currently bugged, I'm fully aware of that, but it at the same time got heavily buffed by the introduction of Raven. King with Beta Club plus Raven can one-shot phase 3 and phase 4. So even in the bugged state that it is right now, I'm gonna give it S tier. I was thinking about maybe dropping S tier. I was thinking about dropping it in S tier when starting doing this video, but as we went on, I thought more about this. Nah, boy. Still SS tier. Despite their attempts to ruin the fun for the people who have Beta Club, and despite the fact sometimes it simply doesn't work, still SS tier. I mean, look, those things you're going to get if you play the game for long enough. This thing you might never get if you don't spend money. So if you want to make that argument for it being a pay-to-win thing, that's a lot of people won't get and give it a lower, just do you, my dude, put it wherever you want. But if we don't take that into account, which I'm not gonna take, how hard it is to get, SS tier. Now the bullets. We're going to get the chance to power drain on ranged attacks, and at the same time you're going to deal more damage against opponents with fewer power bars. This is going to be a damage dealing artifact that has the lowest passive stats, so that makes it crap. And at the same time, ranged attacks, my dude, again, stop trying to make this feature of the game work. It doesn't work. It was flawed from the point it was implemented, so stop it. Stop trying to make ranged attacks work. It's never gonna work. This is another filler artifact that I hate. Could make the argument that this is slightly more useful than this thing and put it here, but I simply hate it. I'm sorry. And oh, we got this thing here. Also, it's also Rise Krypton artifact. Let me jug some water. So this thing over here, it's gonna be the Kryptonite Speeder. All specials with a combo above 20 are going to bypass the super block of the enemy. The maximum combo meter is going to be gotten up to 70 combos, so you're going to get further extra damage. The extra damage you get from combo would normally stop at 40, but this is going to increase it at 70. And upon special usage, you're going to heal for a percentage of the combo meter used. So I'm gonna be straightforward with you. The thing of bypassing block and stuff is going to be somewhat useful when you're fighting enemies with super block, but there's a bug, I don't know if they fixed it, but there's a bug that even though you don't get the damage reflected, like when the enemy uses super shields, when they go with shield and you don't deal damage and it gets reflected towards you, it does bypass that shield, so you knock the enemy out and you can continue your combo. For example, when you do the King's special tree, you can follow that with the swipe right. Their block doesn't work in terms of that, but it works in terms of blocking the damage. A lot of times you would deal damage as if it was reduced, so that's shit. This has two uses though. This is the best artifact for Silver Banshee in Rise of Krypton. If you got 3 maxed out Rise of Krypton artifacts, so that's gonna be a little bit specific, and Martian Manhunter to use this with. And at the same time, it's going to be pretty useful on the League of Arcane team in Rise of Krypton because you're fighting enemies with the shield. You're going to put whatever you want to put on Heartbreak Harley Quinn and Kryptonite Speeder on Arkham Knight Batman. Harley builds combo dealing damage, Arkham Knight Batman tags in and stuns the enemy with no problems. A little bit of an underwhelming artifact when compared to the Firebox is the artifact that everybody's gonna get. It gives you the highest amount of stats, so that's a thing to keep in mind because you're eventually, let's be real here, if you're going to reach the end game where you have like a lot of maxed out Rise Krypton artifacts, this is gonna be a support artifact on every team, and if you get it, you got a maxed out, so let's give it an A tier. It doesn't really deserve an A tier. If this was not available to everybody, it wouldn't get an A tier, but it's worth upgrading if you get it. And those are the Rise of Krypton artifacts. Again, it seems pretty balanced in terms of the placements that they get compared to their stuff, except for those 3 dumpster fire artifacts and this one that I hate from the depths of my soul. Now, Advent of Chaos artifacts. We got the Book of Shit or the Book of Souls. That's the legit name, but I prefer the Book of Shit. Okay, so let's take a look at what this does. It's going to increase the debuff duration applied to the opponents and increase the buff duration applied to the wearer. If this would have splits through the entire team, like just drop this on a character and your whole team benefits from it, like it's with the Amulet of Metahuman, amazing artifact, but it doesn't. It has to be on the character that either inflicts the debuff on the enemy or increases the duration of the buffs on themselves. And some people were like, yes, but this would be useful for the Batman Ninja Catwoman. You would be able to have the buff from the special tree for more time, and you'd be able to do dot from the special 2 for more time. Just do that more often, my dude, if you need to. There are far better artifacts to put in terms of dealing damage. The main problem of this is that it's an artifact. If this was a passive of a character, that's great, but and to an extent is the passive of the Martian Manhunter, at the very least past half of it. But it's going to be an artifact that occupies an artifact slot. Is going to have the lowest passive bonuses. But there's one thing, very specific thing where this is going to be useful. On the League of Anarchy in terms of increasing the duration of the Sun on Arkham Knight Batman. You might be like, Sigval, that's amazing, the League of Anarchy team is gonna make so much use of this thing. Nah, not really, because it's a very, very situational thing. This is going to be useful just in one specific scenario. So let's take them one by one. You use this in normal rates. No, you don't, because increasing the duration of the sun would allow your Harbor Harley Quinn to stay more into the fight, but you need her to stay less because you're using Gold Blades. So that's a no-no. Rise of Krypton, that's a no-no because you need Rise of Krypton artifacts for the passive stats that are going to give you far more than a little bit more stun. The Advent of Chaos rates, that's yet again another big no-no because yet again we need other artifacts with higher passive stats. What you think you're gonna get more out of? 1.8 seconds more on the stun, or having yourself a whopping 32k more attack instead of a 12k more attack. But in Dawn of Apocalypse, this will be the only place, or only one team where this would be useful. Because in Dawn of Apocalypse, you're going to have Arkham Knight Batman as a combo builder, Heartbreak Harley Quinn as the damage dealer. You're going to have Firebox on her and this on Arkham Knight Batman. And you're not going to suffer from passive stats not being there, because in Dawn of Apocalypse, the passive stats of the artifacts are not going to be shared throughout the entire team. So because of that very, 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 very niche use of it, I'm gonna drop it in the D tier. Now, Candle of Neuron. This thing is going to have like average passive bonuses, so I guess if you get this at high level from an offer, you're going to keep it. It's going to disable one special at random from your specials. That sucks, and it's gonna give you a little bit more damage on the other two of them. There's two problems with this. If this was damage in total, amazing artifacts, but it's just special damage. So this rules out any character that benefits from basic attack damage on taps and swipes, because most of the characters either only deal damage through attacks and swipe attacks, so they're not gonna benefit from this, and others have split between swipes and other kinds of attacks, so yet again they're not gonna make a good use of this. This is only going to be useful in Riot's Krypton in theory, but not even there, because the only two teams in the game that are going to deal damage exclusively to their special attacks are going to be the Silver Banshee team and the Multiverse team. And those two teams require to tag in and out, so you can't just get tagged in once and then stay in the fight, so you don't have your special that you're going to use disabled. So if you put this on Silver Banshee and the Multiverse team, and you tag them in, you want to do a special free, and that special is disabled, you're going to curse the day you got this artifact. This is a total garbage artifact. Shatter. I mean, if you get it at high level, you can keep it for the passive stats, I guess. But yeah, it's shit. You can argue with it being here because it's gonna do some stuff for you, I guess. It's better than nothing, I know. Okay, let's leave it here. It's better than nothing, okay? It's better than nothing. You can use this to some extent if you got no better options. But it's pretty much garbage. Now the Chakra. When health drops below 40%, you enter a possessed state for 20 seconds, and you're going to get more attack. Again, attack is not great. Damage is great. Attack is not great because it's going to be calculated out of your base attack. When possessed, fill for 50% of the damage dealt on specials. And that's great. And it's going to give you some attack and some health. First of all, thing that this has got going for it is that it gives you the highest passive bonuses for the Advent of Chaosoroid. So you're going to upgrade this regardless for that and just drop it on another character. But other than that, it's kind of shit. Like you'd have other stuff on your combo builders. You'd have other stuff on your damage dealers. Sword of Salvation, either on combo builder or damage dealer. Maybe Staff of Trigon for more tankiness. Sword of Salvation for more damage. It does some stuff that it's done far better by other artifacts. And for you to do that stuff, you need to mess up and get below that certain threshold of health. But at the same time, I have an account where this is my only Chaos artifact that I have, and to be honest, it's to an extent useful. It has its uses. I'ma just drop it at B tier. I feel like this is the weakest, by far the weakest free artifact from stories that we got so far, but again, it has the maximum bonuses, so I feel like B tier is a good place for it. Run of Horus. Chance to resist power drain. That's 100% useless. We got so many better artifacts at screwing the power drain that we talked about previously, so I don't care about that. And some additional damage on specials. Again, we talked about this, damage on special is crap because of the way it's calculated in this game, so I don't really care about that. And it's gonna have the lowest stats. Like, look, that damage on specials is gonna do something for you. It's not totally useless, just drop it here, but as soon as you get any other Advent of Chaos artifact, like the Chakra when you beat normal, just shatter it. We got over here the Philosopher Stone, or how I like to call it, the Shit Nugget. So this thing is going to give you a 100% chance to mitigate 30% more damage when blocking. Only applies for specials, doesn't apply for attacks, because that would be too much already. And you're going to heal by 45% of the damage mitigated. Nah, bro, you don't need that. Really don't need that. This artifact makes you more tanky, but it does a far worse job than Trigon's power staff. So to be fair, it has like the mid-range passive stats. So I guess skip it if you get it. But overall, it's a tanky artifact that sucks at being a tank. It's a tank artifact that kind of sucks at being a tank artifact. So to be fair with it, to an extent it might be better than anything that's here. But at the same time, look, if we had the survival mode, again, if we had a survival mode where your characters need to survive until the end of times, maybe even drop it towards here. But we don't need. It does something that is not even that good and other artifacts are doing better. And it does something that nobody asked for. That's the problem with it. Now the Rings of Asgard. You're going to get reduced damage from incoming specials. Bro, we did Chaos artifacts, they had a problem with mitigating damage. They were like, oh boy, people are getting damaged so much, let's help their combo builders receive less damage. Nobody asked for it. Stop it. Are you running out of ideas? But yeah, you're going to have a chance to get 4 power bars when successfully blocking. I mean, look, this will be the poor man's choice of an artifact for a combo builder to gain some power bars. It might be useful in reverse flash when building combo for Silver Banshee and stuff like that. Put it on any combo builder, you might get some use out of it. But at the end of the day, this is just the worst version of Staff of Trigon in terms of tanky stats, and it's just the worst version of Sword of Salvation in terms of power generation. So look, to be fair, I feel like this is doing a little bit more than you compared to the shit nuggets, but at the same time, my dudes, this has lower passive stats. I will still give it this one. So even in normal raids, which would be the only place you would use this, or Dawn of Apocalypse, maybe on reverse flash to get some power bars when you block a special, you'd rather have the power box to be able to gap close with your opponent if he does some messed up stuff. So nah. Now we got ourselves Ace of Wincester. It's gonna give you armor pierce on ranged attacks. It's gonna give you a chance for ranged attacks to be unblockable. This one over here is the most dumb effect I've ever seen in my life on an artifact. Do you guys know how you can get your ranged attacks to not be blocked? Just play the game properly and don't use specials on an enemy that's blocking. That's useless. Nobody asked for it. Nobody. Armor piercing ranged attacks, I guess that's okay because yet again, not 100% sure, but some stuff like the King special tree might be regarded as a ranged attack. And 75% more damage with opponents with health below 50%. That's pretty useful. Sadly, it has the lowest passive bonus in terms of attacks and health. And again, sadly, you're going to get far more damage from Sword of Salvation, and you're going to get far more damage from all blades used alongside some high passive bonus artifacts. So this is gonna be a poor man's choice for dealing damage because it only activates when the enemy is below 50%. If you get it at high level for an upper, keep it for a while, but it's not gonna do that much. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. I just feel like this is doing a little bit more than those two, but again, there are so far better options compared to this. Maybe we should have added another tier because we got a lot of stuff clamped up in here. But I don't know, man. Okay, let's leave it there. Now, the Staff of Trigon. When blocking an incoming special, you're going to gain a shield with 200% of the word's max health for 15 seconds. This is how you should be mitigating damage. This mitigates damage when you're blocking it. You're going to get a shield that will block further damage, and the shield, if not destroyed, will decay over time, and you're going to get it as health. And at the same time, you're going to reflect the damage back to your opponent. It has the highest stats for that soul rate. This is the best tank artifact we got in the game for simply the purpose of soaking up as much damage as possible and surviving as much damage as possible. This is gonna be the best artifact. I had a video where I'm playing on an emulator and my block is on the spacebar. So I went ahead and had this artifact equipped on Dark Side. I put my phone on the spacebar so he would keep blocking, and I went and I took a shit. And when I came back from taking a shit, the arena fight was won because of this artifact. It's the best tank artifact that we got in the game. And at the same time, while the shield is active, the enemy is not gonna be able to interrupt you, so it's like having a silver Green Lantern shield. So we're gonna put it S tier. Again, if we had a survival mode where you really need your character to survive as many fights as possible, S tier easily. But again, nobody's asking for tank artifacts. That's the problem. This is by far the best tank artifact in the game, but nobody's asking for it. Like, if this was needed, it would be SS, but at the same time, if you have it compared to if you don't have it, it's not gonna make much of a difference. It's gonna be an amazing artifact, but not really needed. Sword of Salvation, best artifact for dealing damage in Advent of Chaos, except for some fights where you're going to benefit more from the Beta Club. It's going to be a great artifact to put on combo builders to gain more power on in Dawn of Apocalypse and League Raids. It's going to be a good artifact for King in League Raids to help him fight phase 2. You're just going to be spamming special 2s. I really like this artifact. It's kind of fun in Arena. It's going to be S tier also. I mean, it has a lot of uses. It can be used on a lot of combo builders. But I simply don't really feel like it's at the level of the All Blades and the Firebox and stuff like that. And also in some fights, even though you can use this to gain more power with your combo builder if you don't put this on a damage dealer, you're going to get sometimes more benefit out of having this thing here because of the gap closing. Also, you're going to receive more damage considering each power bar that the enemy is missing. So that's great. But at the same time, this is not going to be a huge amount in normal raids. It's going to be a great artifact, but I don't feel like it deserves SS tier. If you feel like doing this, I can agree. If you even feel like doing this, I can agree to some extent. But this is just the vibe that I'm getting. And then we got the Sword of Sin. It's going to inflict for 19 seconds burn on the opponent, and that burning effect is going to reduce his defense because it's a burning effect, and it's going to constantly power drain him. This is a great way to reduce the armor of the enemy. This is a great way to power drain the enemy in fights that need power draining. You can sustain a constant power drain in phase 4 in League Raids and in other such fights, so you don't die. A good artifact. Not a mandatory artifact, not the best artifact in the game, but a pretty damn useful artifact. And the thing that I would put it here, but the thing that I very much like about this artifact is that it is very, very useful from level 1. And it's not a huge difference when you upgrade it. So I feel like giving it A tier. I feel like it fits there properly. Another thing that we could do is do this, but again, everybody's gonna have access to Claws of Horus, so I feel like it deserves A for that. But yeah, with all that being said, we're done with it. Boy, oh boy, we're 2.5 minutes short of an hour. This was a long one, but with all that being said, yet again, we're going to have the link to this tier list maker in the description. So if you wanna do your own tier list, make sure you check that link. If you wanna do a video about it, maybe give credits to this video because those images don't crop themselves. Those images that I put in here don't crop themselves, my dudes. It took some time. And maybe share a tier list on Discord, maybe subscribe, maybe hit that like button. All that being said, I'll hopefully see you on the next one. Goodbye!